We're live. We're back. Here for episode 111.
Episode 111 of the Mystery Fight Night card that got ruined due to a mystery illness. But we're going to talk about it anyway, folks. And if you're a hardcore UFC fan like us, I'm sure you watched it anyway because they got us by the balls, don't they, folks? But overall, some exciting performances. Definitely, I'll call it UFC Fight Night Blue Balls edition because, it was a main event heavy card. Not a lot of name value outside of the main event. And then the main event got scrapped. Granted, it left the prelims pretty much intact, and as we do on Beefy Boys, that's what we talk about first here.
Absolutely. So, honestly, the prelims, I wouldn't say were disappointing by any means. I was a little sad to see the Charles Johnson fight get moved, but, as it comes to be, it ends up being a great fight either way, so not something we truly missed out on.
The prelims low-key kind of gas. Especially if you watched 2 seasons ago, The Ultimate Fighter. There's two guys from there on there, familiar faces. Getting a Jennifer Maia fight on the prelims is pretty dope. 2 ranked flyweights. The first fight started off with a bang. And Vanessa Demopoulos going to twerk on somebody. So
I don't know what her deal is, man. I cannot figure. Do you like her or not?
I'm kind of getting on board with the gimmick because, you got a Hannah Goldie and all these other girls that are like online sluts. She just brings it to IRL,
She just lives that life. She's just there for it.
Well, apparently former stripper too. So it's just like,
oh,
I'm pretty. I don't know. That could have been a troll joke, but I'm pretty sure former stripper.
That would low-key make some sense. I could see that.
Makes some sense. This comes naturally. What can you say?
But the first fight of the night, if you want to dive into it, features some women as well.
We got Natalia Silva, minus 165 favorite, fighting Teresa Bleda, making her debut. Interesting prospect. She was 20 years old, 6-0, 5'9", pretty damn tall for women's flyweight. And then fighting Natalia Silva. So, and man, this fight, this was a fun way to start the card. I'm not going to lie. This was a fun fight to start the card. You got, it ends in a finish. Then we got 2 different people, in my opinion, winning each of the first 2 rounds. So, entertaining fight.
And we get a bonus.
We do get a bonus out of this one to start the night off. So, how'd you score round 1?
Man, so I thought round 1 was a pretty fun round, right? But I also thought that Silva was just, I don't know what she was doing at the end in the triangle. She got caught so deep in it that I ended up scoring for Bleda.
Me too. And there were some decent little clinch knees from Bleda in there. She kind of got that reversal whenever Silva tried to throw her.
Right.
And then put her in the pretty deep triangle attempt. Yeah, I had no problem scoring it for Bleda. I didn't think that Silva did enough, and she made a few mistakes and got caught slipping a few times. So I think Bleda won the first round. But that being said, you could tell even in the round that Silva lost, there was a big speed advantage and a big striking advantage.
Yeah, and you could tell that if she could keep it away from being a major grappling battle, she was going to have a lot more success. She was clearly better on the feet. She just was not able to avoid the positions that were going to plague her until she was,
Yeah, which brings us to round 2, because round 2, she was able to start stuffing the takedowns, keep it on the feet, keep it in her range and her game plan. And that being said, that allowed her to land some big, clean, fast punches. She was landing hard. Not the best striking defense or offense from Bleda, if I'm being honest. Had the damage, kept it on the feet. And she was landing with both hands too, bro, which was kind of impressive. It wasn't like she was landing one counter shot over and over. She was mixing it up, and good from both sides.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive, man. And then, let's see, we do get our finish here in this round, correct?
No, that's in round
that's
3.
The start start of the third. That's right. That's right.
Bleda starts to gas, looked like kind of visibly gassed.
I have it in my notes right here. She was just getting lit up at throughout the round, but also getting all of her takedown stuffed, which was a big change.
the takedown attempts are getting like sloppier and lazier by the attempt, which comes with being gassed, which a little foreshadowing. Start around 3, like you were saying. She goes for kind of a lazy, kind of outer range, doesn't have a chance shot. And fucking Silva hits her with a spinning back kick, like perfectly timed, like on the entry, like kind of lands to like the throat.
Yeah, it was like meant for the body, but connected straight to the face, like.
And then some big savage ground and pound shots. Fantastic fucking knockout that gets a bonus. Well deserved.
Deservedly so, for sure.
Spinning back kick timed on the takedown attempt. I mean, you don't see it every day.
No, and honestly, like, she would probably tell us as well. Probably a little bit of luck in that, right? Because of the way that it landed. But when it's said and done, all that matters is. Sorry, I have to keep my TV on. All that matters is that she landed it, right? Like, whether or not she meant to or not, it luckily hit, which for her pays out in $50,000 extra to her, which this is her first fight in the UFC, I believe, correct? Her second fight, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was her second fight in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely still in that stage of the career to need some money. I definitely in a stage to need some money. And then, I didn't get fluky vibes. Like, even if, say, all right, you can argue maybe she didn't know that Blada was about to shoot, that was still going to land hard to the body. And we saw a fight end on the last card with a similar shot like that to a spinning back kick to the body. So I'm not going fluke at all. I mean, I'm fully giving Silva her credit and outstanding fucking finish. I mean, I didn't really know too much about her, before Saturday night or Saturday really during the day. But like, I'll tell you what, I'll be excited for her next fight. That's for sure.
Yeah, we'll be too. Like, super fun striker. If she can manage to stay on the feet and be like effective on her feet, and well, she's got good takedown defense. Honestly, from what I saw, she just didn't have it at the very start of the fight.
Yeah, and
Blada, be careful
in
the jiu-jitsu game.
She's green and young, but Blada was like a grappler. So if you're saying like, oh, she needs to see if she can beat a grappler, I guess you could argue the level of Blada, but that she has beaten a grappler. So yeah, no, fast hands. I mean, dynamic striking. Yeah, fun flyweight prospect for sure. Flyweight's getting awesome, man. These new generation of flyweight women, because I think a lot of women are realizing, because at first I think wasn't at first a bantamweight was the only women's division like early on in like the Ronda Rousey days, right? So then they added on strawweight, and so I think for a time some of these ladies, would think they had to fight up in bantamweight to get big fights, or they would try to cut down to strawweight to get an advantage. But I think like a lot of these women are kind of realizing that flyweight's their sweet spot, their correct weight class, and that there's big fights to be had at flyweight.
Yeah, and honestly, I think we get some of the best performances, both like cardio and skill wise, in 125. Because like 115, definitely gonna have the cardio and skill, but they don't have the power to like make it be as impactful, right? And then at 135, sometimes they don't have quite the like elegant technique that the girls at 125 have. So it's that nice little like in between range.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of like women's welterweight, or like, you know what I mean, like that kind of best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
And then, but we can keep it pushing, man. And more youngins, a lot of youngins on this card. We got 23-year-old Brady Heastand, minus 175 favorite. Came in off Ultimate Fighter. And then he's taking on Fernie Garcia, plus 150 in the men's bantamweight division. A lot of bantamweights on this card, if I'm not mistaken. So, we love that here on the breakdown. Brady Heastand, I mean, so he was in, I think, the tough finals. And then he hurt his knee, I think, in his UFC debut. So he's been out a while. But, young prospect. A lot of people think he has a high ceiling. Good grappling base. And, I mean, I guess we want to see how this is scored, because I do disagree with the judges. However, I think the right guy wins. But, man, round one starts off with a banger.
Yeah, absolutely. So Garcia drops him early. You know what I mean? Like, lands that shot that hurts him, but then Heastand is able to get into that single leg and essentially muscle his way into, I believe, a takedown off that, and then gets top control, correct?
Yeah, 3 minutes of top control. Advanced position to, I think, either mount or side control, I think it was actually. And then he had some sub attempts too, but you got to juxtapose that with Garcia
with the damage.
Knockdown and the damage.
Yeah, I agree.
I leaned Heastand.
I did as well.
I thought he recovered well enough and did enough. And Fernie Garcia, I don't know. He got a couple other good shots off, but he was just, I don't know. Did the gap on the ground was wide. Like Heaston would like beat him to the position and advanced position at will. And he had some pretty active ground and pound. Like it wasn't super snoozy. It's tough.
I like Houston in round one. I mean, I will say the damage has to be close because he got dropped so hard, right? But
Will you pull up the scorecards?
yeah, I have him right here. I have him right here.
Because is this the round that the judges gave to Garcia? If so, I don't hate it that much. We both scored it to Heaston, so it'd be a little weird if all three judges gave it to Garcia.
It's in fact what happens. All three scored to Garcia.
I don't hate it. I can see, I can make, anytime I can see where somebody's coming from. I don't hate it. I don't roll out the hill to dime, but I don't know, man. I also, this is the type of debate that the reason why I gave the fight to Peter Yan, and a lot of people did. It's like, I don't know. It's one of those weird things. It's just kind of an eye test thing, right? Like just kind of a.
It's exactly what it is.
The numbers and the textbook definition of the rule book probably is Freddie Garcia, right? But then if you watch that round and be like, well, I mean, who would you rather be? I guess you can still make the argument because Heaston got dropped, but he got up and had a fantastic round. I mean,
won out the rest of the round after he got hurt. So I don't know. I just thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was enough control, 3.5 minutes, essentially, after surviving the opening shot. So, kind of reduces the amount of power that you might have to assume Garcia has because he's not able to hurt him more than that.
And like I said, it wasn't a snoozy 3.5 minutes. He was advancing positions. He was attempting subs. He was some ground and pound in there. I mean, nothing overwhelming, but, I mean, it wasn't like he was just laying on it for 3 minutes. I mean,
definitely not laying prey. I'm definitely with you on that.
We can keep pushing though. Round two, another fun round. Now it's crazy because at first it's looking like, okay, so if it's on the feet, Garcia has the advantage. If it's on the mats, Heaston has the advantage. But Heaston, Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. He's like, I can strike a little bit too. And lands 2 head kicks to start the round. And it was the same exact kick. I think it was a left high kick, if I'm not mistaken. And it's it almost looked like Garcia had no answer to it, was circling right into it, looked kind of unprepared for it. So it's oh, well, does he have the striking advantage or did he just land a bomb?
It kind of made me wonder too, do you think Garcia is just a really good boxer? Because, it seemed like he was really good with the hands, but it didn't seem like he was good at defending takedowns or anything like that Houston was throwing as far as kicks.
Yeah, well, and that's what Felder was kind of alluding to, during the walkout and stuff. Felder was like, this guy's got some power in his hands. That's kind of the only nice thing he had to say. And, I mean, it kind of proved to be, dead on accurate. Definitely is probably biggest box that he checks. And then, so on top of the 2 head kicks, Houston gets his own takedown. That's when the ground and pound in round 2 was pretty goddamn active. Some pretty significant ground and pound from Houston. And then Fernie Garcia turns into he busted out a singlet out of the closet and turned into a wrestler, but then Houston reversed his takedown attempt. That reversal was pretty slick, and I think the gap started to widen in round 2. It's all right, he got him on the feet, obviously better on the ground. Fernie's not catching him with any big shots really. Tide's starting to turn for sure.
So that was exactly what my mind's eye thinking of round 2 is that it's when Highstam's kind of starts to take over. The fight's not as close as it was. He's starting to get through the grappling transitions a little easier and get to the points he wants to be at. His ground and pound was pretty good, and he started to strike really well, right? So it's kind of anything that Garcia was doing really well in the first is kind of starting to fade by this point.
Yeah, for sure, man. And he's a good skill set, man. We love these bantamweights. He's another one. Like I said, I mean, he has some work to do. Sat out a year due to knee injury and all that, but he's got the tough hype. And I mean, we'll get to this third round, but I think he's just another one of these talented kids, 23 years old, and nowhere even clear near the rankings. When we talk about it, he stands ranked probably 40. 50,
right.
You know what I'm saying? He's so good.
These guys are back end bantamweights for the moment.
But skill set.
Yeah, good skill set for sure. He stands.
To another division is nuts. And then round 3, really, like I said, gap starts to widen. He has his back for 3 minutes. He's attempting subs. He's getting ground and pound off. That's what I liked about it. He didn't coast, and good thing he didn't coast. because, like I said, I had him up 2-0, but no judge did. But he really just, he said, took the back, attempted subs, won the round. I mean, Fernie really didn't check any boxes in round 3, besides really proving his holes in I guess if you want to call that good defensive grappling, because he didn't get subbed, but he also didn't get out of the position.
I was going to say he was held in position for the entirety of a round, pretty much.
Yeah, so all 3 judges scored 29-28 high stand. We both scored 30-27 high stand. I'm kind of shocked that no.
I'm surprised not one judge had that. I even wrote that. I can't believe not one 30-27 here. I didn't think the first round was that clear.
Exactly. I didn't think they're saying it's obvious, duh, clear as day. And I'm once again.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you see the guy that was on top for 3 minutes of that round? Seems like he did pretty good too.
Yeah, no doubt. But I guess these are the sugar showing judges. But but yeah, no, man, we can keep it pushing. It's a great win for high stand. Coming back off the injury, hopefully he can just stay active. And so it's a long way to the top.
You just got to keep
bantamweight.
Bantamweight, you just got to keep trucking, man. You just got to keep taking fights, keep beating dudes, and keep moving because
you got to win 5-6 to even get a ranked opponent. It's nuts.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you got to get a 5-win streak to even be near that asking point of a 15-10. And then usually,
if you have a loss, it better be a good loss. Or if you lose to a prospect, I mean, see you later.
See you later.
But yeah, man, we keep it pushing, man. We got Vanessa Twerkonia Demopoulos coming in at the coin flip -110. I didn't realize she was 5'9". No, never mind. She's not 5'9". She has a 59-inch reach. That's what was crazy. This fight had the crazy reach discrepancy. Demopoulos coming in with a 59-inch reach. Fighting Maria Oliveira, like I said, coin flip -110, but with a 69-inch reach.
How tall was Demopoulos? Did you write that down? I think she's 5'3"?
I didn't write it down. That sounds about right. She's definitely not crazy tall. Definitely kind of got that meatball Molly build, the strawweight meatball, but definitely a way better grappler than meatball, that's for sure. This is classic striker versus grappler. Oliveira, Muay Thai heavy, very long, very rangy. Dog shit grappling.
Not to give anything away.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because, round 1 looks exactly like you would expect the fight coming off that lead up to look. The start of the round, Oliveira kept it at kickboxing range and was piecing up Demopoulos. Looked fantastic. Looked like she was going to cruise. Then the minute Demopoulos got inside, the exact opposite could be true. You looked like she was going to cruise. It was the classic. And I would say Demopoulos had a better in-between game to get inside, which ended up being the difference of this fight. But yeah, at kickboxing range, wide margin, anything grappling, clinch, in close, Demopoulos wide margin.
I'll even say that Demopoulos did better on the feet than Oliveira did on the grappling.
Oh, by a long
I thought Demopoulos was kind of had some dangerous shots that landed where she was throwing full heavy punches and still landing them.
When she could get inside the boxing range, she would have a lot of success and land big shots. Well, out of the kickboxing range,
oh no,
not as much. She was on the end of those punches, eating the body kicks.
Felt very similar to Zhalga Zumagulov and Charles Johnson. Not to give too much away.
Yeah. Just credit to Demopoulos for kind of walking through that fire to get to her range for sure. And I gave her round 1. So she ended up getting the takedown. She got all the way to full mount and then pretty active with the ground and pound at the end of the round. Like I said,
I thought the ground and pound was pretty brutal, honestly. The elbows were vicious, man.
All night. This whole fight, that would be a big story of it. Keeping it pushing to round 2. This is where, once again, no judge agrees with me. I'm handing out a 10-8 here. Call me Oprah. I'm handing it out, man. I thought it was kind of an obvious 10-8. Hear me out. Here's my argument. People may think she got the takedown. She got on top via knockdown. Start of the round, drops her. Yeah. Big punch. Gets the full mount, and then just ground and pound elbows. I think it was 21-0 significant ground strikes. I thought the fight actually could have been stopped. There was a lot of unanswered, undefended ground and pound elbows. I can't believe I'm the only guy on planet Earth giving this a 10-8. Seriously, am I crazy here? I thought this fight could have been stopped. It was all one-sided. You saw a knockdown. You saw 21 unanswered ground and pound elbows. What the fuck else do you
I'll
need
give
to
you.
do?
I'll give you the unanswered elbows. Definitely can warrant the stoppage there with the ground and pound because Oliveira wasn't
Yeah.
even defending him well. Now I think as far as the 10-8 goes, it starts to get a little hazy because it wasn't immediately in the start of the round that she got dropped. It was what, like a minute and a half in.
Yeah, maybe a
She
minute
was
and a half
Oliveira was
in.
doing pretty good on the feet until she got dropped.
Yeah. I mean, not good enough. I mean, there was nothing like impactful. I mean, she was landing a couple jabs, couple body kicks. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, basic stuff, but still probably it was slightly ahead in the striking up until that point. But that was the only reason I gave it 10-9 is I was like, well, it was pretty 50-50 until she got to this horrible position. Now, after you've said it, you might have sold me on the 10-8. It sounds pretty good. And she was pretty much at the point of being stopped.
And no judge gave it a 10-8, so that's what's wild. And once again, not a single judge. Like,
Asking for a friend.
Wild to me.
That's
wild to me. And then, we'll keep it pushing because round 3, I mean, credit to Oliveira. Oliveira had every reason to kind of find a way out of there, to kind of give up on herself, to kind of try to go to survival mode and just cash half a check. She came out ready to bang in round 3, man. Round 3 was kind of a war. I mean, especially Maria Oliveira. She seems to start rounds really well and then fade. I think that's kind of like a tendency on her. If I was like, if I had an athlete fighting her, I was scouting her, that's something I would definitely note down. Starts rounds really strong. And once again, started round 3 extremely well. Kind of piecing up. Demopoulos on the feet. Demopoulos, so it was weird. There was like Oliveira started the round well, ended the round well, and then there was like a little bit like 90 seconds of the middle of the round where Demopoulos had a lot of success.
It's a sandwich for sure.
I gave Oliveira the round. Maybe it's a sympathy round. I just respected kind of how she approached it. I don't know. Maybe, but she also had a lot of success. I thought Oliveira was, like I said, she had every reason to pack it in. She came out like a dog. I mean, I gave her the round. I mean, I said I also gave her the round knowing that it wouldn't impact the fight, especially on my scorecard because I had a 10-8 in there. But I thought Oliveira looked fantastic in round 3. Am I crazy?
Man, so every judge gave her that round. I still gave it to Demopoulos, but I did write that it was very on the edge of Oliveira stealing it with her work in the last 90 seconds.
Yeah, because she started the round well, ended the round well. Demopoulos had success in the middle. Kind of does make it a little bit hard to score. I leaned Oliveira. I see your point there. Demopoulos definitely had success.
And she was landing like every time Demopoulos. I just don't know if it was the ways that like Demopoulos was able to eat the punches, whereas Oliveira would like show every time she got hit. Like it just looked like Demopoulos might have had more power when she connected.
Oh, 100%. Demopoulos definitely has some power, and Oliveira may not have the greatest chin, and like I said, definitely horrible takedown defense, horrible grappling defense. Like I said, she was able to get back up to her feet though in round 3. I respected the fuck out of that because that was the first time she was able to the entire fight, and so to do that in round 3 after you got the shit kicked out of you in round 2, hats off. I mean, like, Oliveira's a dog. I mean, seriously. I mean, limited skill set, not well rounded, maybe not even UFC caliber. But fucking dog, like heart of the line.
So you had it what, 29-27?
Yeah, I think that's how that math works.
And I had 30-27, so we were close.
Yeah, for sure. Demopoulos gets the win. Does her signature jump in the arms of Bisping.
Yeah, hilarious.
Wait, what is it? Is she 3-0 in the UFC? 2-0?
Let me see real fast. I got it right here. Let's see, Vanessa.
Because I feel like every time I look up, she's in somebody's arms, and she only does that after a win.
She's 3-1, losing her opening fight to JJ Aldrich, but she has a win over Silvana Gomez Juarez, Jinyu Fry, and Maria Oliveira. Pretty good wins.
Worst loss in the world. I mean, like I said, I don't think she's a world beater, but I wouldn't shock me to see Demopoulos like get a shot at the back end of the rankings. I mean, maybe not next, but definitely she gets one more win. I mean. She's going to have to fight somebody.
Man, her matchups are going to be so tough for her, just being 5'2" and having a 5-foot wingspan. Like short and with short arms, like that is tough.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, she proved that, like, no, granted, I feel you, the level. But she proved she can, like, match up, though. Like Oliveira is everything you just described, long-rangey striker. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, That's true. That's a good point. I just wonder about like Oliveira's level versus the rest of them. Like, what happens when
Oh,
there's a girl that can
very,
stuff the takedown or has good jiu-jitsu, off her back?
very valid, for sure, for sure. But I'm just saying, I mean, she's stacking up wins. I guess is what I'm getting at, man. She's stacking up wins. Like she's climbing the ladder. But we can keep it pushing here. We got Kevin and Timmy Dodd plus 135 dog fighting Ultimate Fighter champion Ricky Tercios.
Oh yeah, I can't
minus
wait to see how you.
155.
I cannot wait to see how you scored this one, man.
Me too. This fight was fucking awesome.
This fight was crazy. The pace
awesome.
The pace was wild.
Fucking Money Moicano's just forever ingrained in my brain. Fucking eating steaks and drinking beers. Fucking love that. Yeah,
Joe Rogan is fucking awesome.
Fucking awesome. But, I don't know if you watch Big Mouth, but he kind of sounds like Lola from Big Mouth.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, which
He
I
does.
love that character and that voice. So everything about it, I'm just all in on the Money Moicano Lola mashup. But yeah, fighting the bantamweight division, more exciting bantamweights. Like I said, Tercios, another guy unranked, but he has the Ultimate Fighter like champion. He's fun fights. He has one, I think, kind of bad L, but it was kind of an anomaly. Like he looked flat that fight. Like he didn't really fight like himself. It's gonna be like I said, this fight was fucking awesome. Very wild fight. I mean, so many scrambles and guys just eating shots and fuck, dude. Let's get into it, man. How did you score round one? It was fucking wild round. That's my main notes. I never really used that term to describe. I'll say fun or banger or war. I have wild in all caps. Like it was just a wild round.
So I'll give more of like a overarching stat toward the end to not give away anything yet as to like why I have this scored this way. But I actually have the first round going to Natividad 10-9. And I might be crazy, but here's why. Is that Tercios was able to get takedown, sure, but he could never keep control with them. It was essentially like a scramble for the entire round. Now, granted, Tercios is initiating that action, but I thought Natividad was landing the better strikes anytime they were able to strike with each other.
No, I don't. You're not crazy at all. I scored it for Tercios, but also right below that, like Natividad 100% won the damage battle. So if you're scoring it off damage, which you're kind of supposed to, you're definitely not wrong. Now I scored for Tercios. He did have the 3 takedowns, but once again, kind of an eye test thing. He would initiate these scrambles and then win the scrambles.
True.
So like he's dictating the action. He's winning the positions. He would either go to the next position first or beat Natividad to whatever position he wanted to get to. Just the scrambles were insane. And then he also landed some ground and pound too. If it was all grappling, I'd probably have a tough time giving it to Tercios. He got it some damage in too. But not as much as Natividad. And for that reason, no, you're not crazy. And I think our scorecards kind of do paint an accurate position. Like this round could have gone almost any of these rounds could have gone either way. Like I didn't know when the judges were about to score, I had no idea what was about to come out of their mouth, and we do end up with a split decision. So I think us disagreeing is right in line.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 were all wild in different ways too, right? Because like round 2, you have Tercios eating that massive left and he dropped halfway through it, but was looking really good to that point, and then honestly, like. Still battles back from that knockdown and closes out the round pretty strong. Like, I definitely thought that was an Natividad round, but for Tercios to have taken that much damage and be in that bad of a position and still recover and me be at the point where, like, maybe I could give him that round, feasibly. That's a crazy thing to say when you think about it.
I did give it to him, but almost, here's why, though. I thought Natividad gave the round. He would go for these takedowns and then get reversed, like, I don't know, that happened like 2 or 3 times, and I thought it was a real bad look. Like I said, once again, kind of just an eye test thing. Because you're right, he was piecing him up. He was hurting him. And I was like, for the love of God, I mean, especially with the Strikers' Delight calling the fight, Bisping and Felder, they're like, stay on the feet, keep your distance. And I agreed with them. He would go for these takedowns, get reversed. Like, he would bail Tercios out. I thought he gave the round. Like, his fight IQ and just decision-making just awful. I mean, like he kind of Kyle Shanahan the second half, like just like he would, because I said he started the round, he was piecing him up, and then he decided to turn like or let me wrestle this guy who's out grappling me at every opportunity. They said, I thought he kind of lost the round more so than Tercios won it. Now, granted, Tercios, you know, he did have a couple of his own takedowns, but like, and he would kind of do this thing where he would force the scrambles and all that. But Natividad was choosing to engage in that shit with him, and I thought he fumbled the round away. Old Kevin fumbles.
Kevin fumbles.
Seriously, like I said, I mean, I totally understand giving that round to Natividad, and you're not crazy, but I couldn't give it to him because he kept choosing to grapple with Tercios and then would get out grappled by Tercios. But you're right, he was piecing him the fuck up on the feet. Like it wasn't that close on the feet. Like he was hurting him.
So, okay, so we'll disagree on the round, and that means that I have it 20-18 Natividad and you have it 20-18 Tercios.
That doesn't happen that often on the breakdown.
No.
This fight was fucking nuts.
This fight was crazy too, and it was just like, what do you value? And what time do you value it at? And like, you know, that kind of a thing. Now, round 3, Tercios gets dropped with a flying knee. 75 seconds into the round and somehow recovers and ends up with Natividad in a rear naked choke for the last like 90 seconds of the round almost, or at least on his back for that 90 seconds.
Yeah, dude, Natividad landed 3 flying knees in this round. Dropped Tercios with one of them. Tercios, man,
he's got to be up there for Chin of the Year.
It's nuts what this guy can take and just his approach, everything like that. Except I come out of this looking like a Tercios dick rider because I give him this one too.
I scored this round to him as well. I thought this was clearly his round.
But imagine how crazy of a statement that is. You eat 3 flying knees, get dropped by one, and it was like, oh yeah, you definitely won the round. Like that. Like
I couldn't believe that Natividad survived the choke at the end. Like, I thought Tercios was going to pull it out of the fire because you got to remember on my scorecard, I'm just hitting Natividad up at that point.
Well, don't forget, like, the ground and pound from Tercios in round 3 was the best of the whole fight. He was getting off. I mean, he emptied the tank. He emptied the clip. In his own words, he emptied the clip. Like,
getting his rocks off.
Attempts, the ground and pound, the back take. But, yeah, just how crazy to eat 3 flying knees, get dropped by one, and then be like, oh, yeah, he definitely won the round. Like,
it's crazy.
Who else can you say that about? Who else is capable of that? This guy, Tercios, he's not the perfect fighter. He leaves a lot of holes, a lot of, you can say weaknesses or whatever, but with the stuff that this guy's made out of it, his chin, his like drive, his will, like the word grit seems very corny, but goddamn, if it applies to anybody, it might be this guy. Like,
did you think his post-fight interview was slightly cornball or not?
No, hey, call me a mark. I'm all for it.
You're sold. You're down the river.
Oh yeah, just gargling Tercios' nuts over here.
My God.
Listen, I mean, speaking of gargling nuts, 30-27 Tercios. Sorry, let me spit out a pube real quick.
Right, yeah, you're so deep and it made danger airing deep on him. My God. I mean, I like Tercios moving forward. I really do. And as far as bantamweight goes, he's gonna like. My thing with it though is that like, where do you really see him at bantamweight?
Hold on, let's read these scorecards real quick. Then let's talk that.
Okay,
the official scorecards.
So you want to know? I assume what they scored here.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I know 2 judges ended up going 29-28 Tercios. 1 judge goes 29-28 Natividad. Tercios wins split decision. But yeah, I would be interested to see what rounds they gave who.
Okay, so
did the judges agree with each other, or is there like a mixed match of rounds given?
So Anthony Manis scores like I do, which is 10-9 first and second to Natividad and 10-9 Tercios in 3. So 29-28.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
The other 2 judges do score it the same, which is Tercios winning round 1 and Tercios winning round 3, and Natividad winning round 2. So the judges actually agreed across rounds 2 and 3 incomplete. Like, it was only round 1 that was different for them all.
That makes sense. It's wild though. Like, I could see a judge giving round 3 to Natividad just for the 3 knees though. I mean, granted that they didn't and neither did I. So, but isn't that wild that no judge and neither of us gave Natividad round 3 and he landed 3 flying knees.
Yeah, but no judge gave Tercios round 2.
Yeah, I'm out here on an island with that one.
Yeah, the dick riding is proven.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's too busy gargling. But man, all right. As you can tell, it is prime cold and flu season over here. We're dying. But where do I see Tercios in the big picture of the bantamweight division? It is tough to say because, first off, like we always say, the division's so stacked. I'll say his chin and his jiu-jitsu gives him like a chance against almost anybody. Like seriously, even going up to like you mean to tell me, Grant, I know everybody's down on Pedro Munoz right now, but you mean to tell me if Pedro Munoz just like runs through him? I don't think so. Like I think that would be an amazing fight.
I like that you picked Pedro Munoz and not Umar Nurmagomedov.
Well, that was honestly I was going to get to that. Matchup wise, to get somebody who can just like hold him down, or I know Umar has the good kicks and everything. Yeah, if Umar lands like a head kick on him, which he does, leave himself like vulnerable to, like he has a chin, but he needs it. You know what I'm saying? From a striking defense perspective, like obviously I think like a Sean O'Malley would be like hurt him pretty badly, like he's topping. But
how about Ricky Simone?
Another tough matchup, but I'll say, if he can like really like force these scrambles like against like anybody, like that's what I guess was yet to be seen. Because I mean, Natividad was trying to wrestle him, and he would, reverse it every time. Now, obviously, huge like level discrepancies there from like a Ricky Simone, Umar Nurmagomedov, like these type of guys. But I do think that's the kind of guy that's going to have to beat him. I think there's not like trying to outstrike that guy with a chin and his just like weird nature. Like, all right, good luck. And I mean, if you're just like an okay wrestler, like an MMA wrestler, not like a top flight wrestler, I think he's gonna scramble you and reverse you and maybe sub you. Like, he's a tough night out, man. I mean, I think it is gonna be very matchup heavy based on him. He's also pretty small for the division, so I could see him getting like out athleted, outsized. Skill for skill though, man, and grit and like what he's made of and all that shit, bro. I mean, I think he's a tough night out, and I do think there's people in the top 15 he could beat. I really do. Now, I said, do I cherry pick the Pedro Munozes of the world? Sure. Once again, I think he definitely beats Frankie Edgar. I know Frankie Edgar's retired now. I know that's kind of a moot point, but I'm just saying there are matchups in the top 15 where I would like Tercios, and I could probably bet some plus money on it. But also, like, there's also bad matchups for him too. So, like,
well, what do you think about a guy
like
Yanez? I can see him
cracking the rankings.
Because I think Yanez is a good matchup for him, Adrian Yanez.
Yeah, right. I mean, because I think he has the chin to kind of eat some of those Yanez's shots, and
Yanez starts slow as hell too, which is only to Tercios' benefit because he starts fast as fuck.
And I mean, Tercios definitely a better wrestler, better grappler. Definitely probably you could argue fight IQ maybe.
If he gets dropped, maybe he just slicks his way to the back, with some saucy little
grab
jiu-jits.
the heel hook, or single leg, or he's slick, man. He's slick, and Yanez would be a fun matchup, and I do think that's a winnable matchup. Like that'd be a tough one to bet, though. That'd be a tough. Do you think
well, if it's that tough, so you think he's like that should probably be where we put him next?
Like, what is it, Jack Shore that's coming off a loss and is ranked, 15?
15, yeah. Jack Shore's 15, Yanez 14.
And I think Jack Shore would try to grapple with him and shit, which is in Tercios' wheelhouse. And I don't think Jack Shore has, like, the real power to put him out. I think he's right about there. I think he's right about there, man. Like to answer your question, like...
I think him and Shore is actually a great matchup. And I think stylistically that's a really fun matchup, too, right? Because... You're right. Like Shore wants to entertain the grappling. They both have okay hands, but both of them have really good chins. Like that's a really fun matchup. Or maybe they
Shore's
both
a lot bigger.
Too.
Shore's way bigger than it. Like from what my mind's eye is picturing. But
there might be one where they're both are so good at grappling that they end up striking a lot. Those are always fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure, man. We love our bantamweights here, but yeah.
We're gonna keep a bantamweight. Because we're going to push it to...
another one.
Yeah, Miles Johns, minus 170, fighting Vince Morales, plus 145. These dudes apparently had some bad blood before the fight. Wouldn't drop it in the fight and kept acting really hard toward each other, which I thought was hilarious because it was the snooziest fight of all time.
Fucking snooze fest. Jesus Christ.
Through 4 minutes in the first round, there had been 4 significant strikes landed in 4 minutes between both guys.
And then before and after the first round, they tried to get in a little scuffle before the
Yeah,
fight
like try to
started.
like talk shit to each other, and I'm like, you guys aren't even fighting when you have the chance to fight.
Hitter pat bullshit. I mean, I gave round one to Johns, and I literally have activity like in air quotes because like neither guy. It was like a Rose Carla type of you gotta pick a winner somehow. Like
Me
somebody
too.
did
It's literally what
something.
I wrote is that
I
Johns landed like the two impactful strikes of the round, so therefore he wins because Morales didn't land that many.
few leg kicks, and that body shot at the end of the round was like okay, like I guess above average. I'm not gonna go too crazy raving about it, but it was a above mediocre body shot that he landed, whatever. So we'll keep it pushing here. And then round two, I guess, was slightly less snoozy than round one, but I mean, by a margin. I leaned Johns again. He got that takedown at the end of the round that didn't count for shit. It was literally like 3 seconds left, but I was grasping at straws. Like, once again, Rose Carla, just like, I have to, there's only two guys to choose from. It's an A or B, multiple choice. Like, I have to pick one. I lean Johns again. Like I said, he got the takedown. I mean, meaningless point manipulating, gaming the system takedown ever, but also therefore kind of smart because we had nothing else to score. So he literally won himself around by getting a pointless takedown. I don't know if you saw it the same way. Like we had to pick one of these guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, exactly. Like rounds 1 and 2, I both gave to Johns, and both were terrible rounds.
Yeah, like like fucking Miles, Carla Esparza, Johns over here.
That's what it reminded me of so much, man. Like, because they would feint and they'd move and they would act like they were gonna strike, and they kept like enticing you like they were gonna strike, and they kept like a serious demeanor like they were gonna strike, and then they just wouldn't.
But also, fuck Vince Morales because he was the one doing most of the shit, talking this shit, and he was the one also on the back. But that's another thing. Like Johns was at least keeping.
Johns would at least shoot in too sometimes.
Yeah, like Vince Morales, maybe my new like least favorite fighter on the roster. Seriously, like, but that being said, I do give Morales 3, and it was way less snoozy.
Yeah, 3 was actually a good round. They both opened up a lot more. I thought Morales actually did good damage, and if he fought any of the rest of the fight like that, would have won the fight.
Yeah, he pumped some jabs that landed effectively because I think he was a slightly taller guy. Got some body kicks off, defended some takedowns. Still not a ton. I mean, I'm talking about jabs and body kicks, and we're over here like, oh yeah, that round was pretty exciting. But like, I mean, that fight fucking stinks. But so one judge gives it 30-27. Johns. I don't really see giving him the third round, but whatever. Definitely not dying on any hills for Vince Morales. And then 29-28, both judges saw it that way. We both saw it that way. I think that's probably the accurate score. Johns gets the unanimous decision. He kept it real. He was saying how he wasn't that stoked on the performance, but a win's a win, blah, 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 all that type of shit that you say after a snoozer, which I guess is... I'll take that over the Rose Namajunas approach where it's like, what do you mean? I don't see a problem here. Or the Israel Adesanya where it's like, I'm just smarter than all of you guys. That wasn't boring. And like, so I'll take, he at least kept it real and like didn't take the Izzy/Rose approach of like, oh, you guys just don't know what you're looking at. Like, I hate when fighters do that. So whatever. I mean, hopefully Johns' next fight's super exciting, but like, in the crowded bantamweight division, so we just watched 3 bantamweight fights. Tercios, Heaston, and Johns were the winners. And like, coming off that performance, give me Heaston and Tercios over Johns all day as far as like who I'm excited about, who I would, match up higher, who I like card position wise moving forward. I mean, Johns came in third out of third, if you ask me, from the prelim bantamweights.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Like, well, I guess out of the winners, yeah. Because all the losers. Although, there's an argument to be even said that Kevin Natividad looked better than Johns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great point. Great point. I like that you brought that to the table. Also, we talked about it a little bit on last week's podcast about the James Krause kind of betting scandal.
Yeah.
Johns talked about it a little bit. Krause is suspended from the UFC, not allowed to corner. Like, obviously, he can still like train and coach at his own gym. I don't think they can control that. But I mean, not allowed to corner, not allowed to like be on like UFC like facilities. I don't think he was like officially retired as a fighter, so obviously no fighting. I don't think we've seen anything like this. I mean, obviously in the NFL we had the Calvin Ridley situation, but this is way more egregious. It's like I think what Krause did is way worse or what Krause is alleged to have done, or whatever.
What they allege he has done.
That's way worse than Calvin Ridley putting 1,500 on a parlay. Like this
Way
guy's
worse.
like
Way
influencing
worse.
lines and like leaking information. And I don't. I'm not gonna go full blown like fixing fights or taking dives or any of that. But leaking information, swaying lines, that's dicey. That's dicey enough. That's why I don't have to take it to that full max level conspiracy tinfoil hat. Like the stuff that we are like pretty like sure about is bad enough to like where you don't even necessarily need to speculate on the worst shit. In my opinion, that's how I view it.
What was the fight that was supposedly rigged? Was that T.J. Laramie or who was that?
No, it wasn't TJ. I remember it was the Nuremberg. I can't remember who he fought though. The Nuremberg. Oh, Derek Minner.
Yeah, Minner.
Derek Minner, and he kept like throwing.
Kicked with this hurt leg twice.
And like the injury news got leaked to some wise guys. I'm sure for free, right? Wink, wink.
Right. Yeah. Like Krause's
that's
gym
another
didn't get
thing.
a free
Like
sponsorship.
Like I said, if somebody saw Derek Minner limping around a Vegas hotel and decided to place some bets, that's one thing. But if Krause is like taking payments to leak like injury knowledge, that's like I said, you don't need to fix a fight. Like that's like just as like maybe not just as bad, but you know what I'm saying? That's dicey enough as it is. If you're like taking payments from wise guys to or convincing your fighter to fight hurt, and then leaking the information or I don't know.
Bro,
I don't know.
I wouldn't honestly trust him to train in his gym in case he thought that maybe he could get money on you as a favorite and they gave you a bad camp against a dude he knew that was hungry and set you up to lose.
That's worst case scenario, right? Like
I could see him being if this happened, like I could definitely see him doing that. Like what a scumbag.
Like where does that line get drawn once you decide to cross the line? You know what I mean? And like
this guy's Adam Sandler from Uncut Gems. Like he's just a scumbag.
And like once you're like dabbling in the dark arts, if you will, like they said, like where, like there may not be a line anymore that you won't cross, right? Because you already crossed it. Like,
man, I've been crushing James Krause for like what a year and a half.
Yeah. I mean, we've never been big fans of Krause on the show,
and now I feel great about it.
Like, yeah, I'm vindicated.
Yeah, sure. So good.
But I think we got one more fight left on these prelims, and it's a pretty meaningful fight. I'd say we talked about earlier in the jerk in the curtain fight about how like this women's flyweight division's heating up, kind of a changing of the guard.
I thought this fight should have clearly been on the main card. By the way,
me too. As a prelim guy, I wasn't mad at it, but I mean, from also like a guy who bitches and moans about card placement, I totally.
Well, let me ask you, what were the two guys that were the headliners of the card ranked? 12-7, and then they got pulled, right?
Yeah, but that's different. I mean, Derek Lewis is. I mean, he's headline paper.
Oh, I know. But I'm just saying to elevate your co-main wasn't even these two. How are these two not the co-main?
I'll have a better argument. What ends up being the co-main is Chase Sherman, Waldo Trez Acosta. So this should have been the co-main.
Yeah, this should have been elevated to the co-main, and Charles Johnson and them should have stayed as the featured prelim. Would have made so much more sense.
I agree, especially on a fight night because it's like this is all free. So it's like usually I make the argument of some kid got to watch a high level fight that they wouldn't have got to watch, but no, like. They just it came on the same channel. I guess you kind of host Maya and Moroz, but yeah, we got Jennifer Maya plus 168th ranked flyweight, top 10, fighting Marina Moroz, 15th ranked flyweight. So that's always important when the 15th ranked person fights because it could potentially open the door for other fighters to climb into the rankings if they lose. And
I thought this should have been way closer to a pick 'em, by the way.
Yeah,
Not that Maya's looked great, but she's fought really quality opponents. And Moroz hasn't had the best run in the UFC. She just put together her last good 3 fights.
Yeah, moved up a weight class. And I think that's the selling point that they kept trying to mention is that, like, Marina Moroz up and down at strawweight, but undefeated at flyweight. They were really kind of pumped that narrative. Maya, I think the question was just like a father time type situation. I think she's 35, 36, a lot of miles, a lot of damage, a lot of big fights, a lot of, been in the UFC a long time. So it's like, it's one of those things, how much does she have left in the tank? How focused, how motivated? I think she answered a lot of those questions. I think you'll see where we're getting at this. I mean, Maya looked fantastic. Man. I think
Dude,
she's looked better than she's looked in the past couple fights.
yeah, her right hand to start the fight was, I mean, it couldn't miss. She was just cracking Moroz with it. And then she was able to dodge a lot on the counters as well that Moroz was able to get off. Now, granted, I think strike numbers are super misleading in this fight because Marina Moroz is able to get a lot of, like, small pitter-patter, don't mean anything shots off, whereas Maya's landing, like, almost significantly, like, power shots only.
Yeah, no, I think this was kind of built as striker versus grappler, but then Maya, in my opinion, very quickly established that she was in fact the better striker. I said the numbers were, I agree with all that, very deceiving, but I mean Maya was landing clean and hard and impactful, and like the body language for Moroz after she would get hit with those wasn't great. And Maya ate. I mean, I don't think Maya was even hurt once. I can't remember a time. She had a couple jabs, couple little leg kicks, whatever. It was like you said, kind of pitter pat sparring kind of level shots. Unfortunately for Moroz, I had Maya winning round one pretty easily. Not really, because I think round one she even had the strike numbers and the damage and some clinch control time. Round two wasn't pretty much a banger. Because they were exchanging, and this is the round where Moroz did have more significant strike numbers, but you can't watch that and tell me that Maya didn't win the round. I mean,
Yeah,
she hurt Moroz
way.
multiple times and was hurt 0 times.
Yeah,
So
that's how I kept feeling about rounds 1 and 2. They're the same pretty much round, I thought, back and forth. Now,
I thought Moroz kind of let it go, had a little more success in round two, which I said not enough to make me question who won, but enough to make me have a little bit more fun as a fan. Like it was a funner round and a little more action.
That's what I would say is that Moroz fought back a lot more in round 2 than round 1. Round 1, she was just getting cracked and moved around the octagon and trying to fire these like one-off punches, whereas at least in round 2, you saw her start to come alive with more combinations and actually try to like battle back, right? Like answer fire with fire. All that being said, I thought she had a great round 3 for Moroz.
Oh, 100%. Well, she finally got that distance down. Like she I don't know. I thought they were counting a lot of strikes that were missing, or at least glancing, because first two rounds she was very inaccurate because she had like volume and quote unquote activity, but they were hitting air. At least it looked like to me with my eye test.
I thought they were a bunch of punches that were like hitting like shoulders, hands,
hands. Exactly.
Nothing impactful.
They weren't landing clean whatsoever. Round 3, she was much more accurate. And also, I think it was the only round where she was moving forward. She got Maya on the back foot a little bit, which kind of too little too late. I think if the rest of the fight looks like round 3, we might have Moroz definitely clear a path to victory there. But, I mean, once again, kind of like I said earlier about Oliveira being a dog and coming out tough in round 3 in a fight that she's clearly losing, I thought the same could be said about Moroz. I mean, Moroz kind of had every reason to kind of check out, cash out, coast it out, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
but
she decided to go out and hunt to finish and look good doing it.
Looked good in a fight that she was losing in rounds. I always respect that, man. I always respect that. They're not accepting defeat, fighting until the last minute, all that type of shit. I really appreciate it. So I have it 29-28. You have it 29-28. Two judges have it 29-28. One judge went 30-27 Maya. I don't hate it, because round 3 was
competitive.
It was close. It was Moroz's best round by far, but it was still close, still competitive. Maya definitely still cracked her a few times. But yeah, I mean, Maya, like I said, looked fantastic. Gets a ranked win. You want to pull up the flyweight rankings real quick?
Yeah, that's what I was doing right here, actually.
We don't have to spend too much time on it, but kind of kick the can around on Maya.
Women's flyweight, we got Maya at 8. Obviously, the rankings are updated now, so of course Marina Moroz fell out. Amanda Ribas took the 15th spot. Interesting to know. And then Jennifer Maya didn't move up even one spot, kept her at 8,
tough.
Which that's like a tough.
Who's above her?
Vivian Araujo, which I don't know if you flipped
coming
him.
off the L, yeah.
Right, like I would have flipped him. I would have flipped him.
Let's go.
Andrade at 6, Grasso at 5. I think Maya Grasso is a fun fight.
Yeah, especially after what we just saw, Grasso with the boxing approach. That would probably be fun. Also, though, I got to look up real quick because I'm sure Maya's fought a lot of these girls already. As long as she's been around, I don't want to.
I got her right here.
Just any rematches.
So, not counting Invicta, where she fought a few other UFC girls. She fought Liz Carmouche, Alexis Davis, Roxanne Modafferi, Caitlin Chikagian, Joanne Calderwood, whatever you want to call it. Lost to Shevchenko in that title fight. Beat Jessica Ai. Lost to Caitlin Chikagian for the second time. That's going to be like the one that like keeps her from a title run. Really, is Chikagian beats her every time they fight. Lost to Manon Fiore in her last fight out. You know, don't hate that loss.
No, don't hate
beat
that
Marina
loss.
Moroz. So hasn't fought Grasso. Would probably make the most sense too, right? Like matchup style wise.
I could see them doing Araujo though.
Oh man, if she beat 15, only giving her the shot to fight one up, like that sucks to have to fight that far back.
Oh, I agree, but I think the UFC kind of showed their hand by not moving her up the rankings. I think if they like were taking your approach, they would have flipped. I think the fact that they didn't rank her over Araujo, they're not. I don't think that they're super anxious to like climb her up the rankings.
Well, in Blanchfield, they called for Andrea Lee, and Blanchfield's 10 and Lee is 9. So it's almost going to be super advantageous for, well, I say this, but if Maya were to beat Grasso, great chance that Blanchfield would call out for Maya at 5 if she were to win. Which, I'm just saying, that's
or do you do Blanchfield Maya?
I mean, you could, but like, what a
I
punishment.
think that's a bigger fight.
What a punishment for Jennifer Maya.
You're right. I mean, you could view it that way.
Having to fight back twice is tough.
No,
when you're at
right.
8, like you're in a chase spot. Like don't make them fight back twice at 8.
No, I feel you. And for Maya's sake, I hope that they are viewing it the kind of the way you are, as far as like
she's put in so much work for the company. Like she's only lost Caitlin Chikagian, Shevchenko, or
Fiore, maybe
or Manon Fiore. Yeah, so it's like she only loses the top end of the division. Why not let her fight? I mean, shit. Tyler Santos is a fun fight. I think it's a tough fight. I think it's a fight she loses. Lauren Murphy's a fun fight. Once again, a fight that I don't know if she wins.
Who's Murphy booked against again? I forget. Murphy's booked against somebody. It's coming up real soon. Proves how much that matters.
Let's see. Oh, Andrade.
Yeah. Murphy's booked against Andrade.
So that's 4 versus 6.
You're right. Grasso's going to need to fight somebody, right? I mean,
right? Like, who better?
All right, I'm cool with that. But yeah, man, that wraps up the prelim segment.
Yes, sir.
If you're a hardcore UFC fan that watches every fight, including the prelims, we're the show for you. Go ahead and give us a subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. We cover every fight. Like I said, early prelims. Not a lot of shows out there doing that. That's what we do. We love this shit. And yeah, man, looking forward to this kind of blue balls of the main card. We'll be right back to